If you think CASTORICE is an insanely broken character, I want you to take a deeper look. She is great, but that's it. One of the things that makes her unique is her global passive, which can revive an ally about to take a fatal blow, just by having her in your account. But now that version 3 has arrived, what happens to CASTORICE Kid? Will she become a weak unit? Or will she grow even stronger? And what about her controversial global passive? Has it been removed? Make sure to watch this video until the end because today I'll be discussing the changes to CASTORICE Kid. CASTORICE is Remembrance DPS character with the quantum element. She possesses a memosprite in the form of a dragon that fights alongside her when her ultimate is activated. This ability can be triggered through a unique mechanic involving HP reduction and consumption from the team, along with HP recovery. CASTORICE's primary source of damage comes from her dragon's attacks, which can unleash consecutive strikes. However, these attacks drain the dragon's HP and they must end when its HP drops below 25% or is completely depleted. One of CASTORICE's most distinctive features is her global passive or unique passive. As we all know, she has the ability to revive fallen allies as long as they receive a heal or shield afterward, even if they are not in the same party as CASTORICE. So yeah, CASTORICE is your HP based damage dealer with a team-wide HP draining mechanic. Based on the initial reviews from the beta testers, version 1 CASTORICE was an absolute damage powerhouse, ranking among the strongest DPS units in the game. However, her biggest issue was that her kit revolved almost entirely around high damage, without much flexibility. Her team rotation was quite difficult and complex, largely due to one of her traces that converted excess healing into ultimate stacks. This mechanic made it difficult for many healers to keep up with her demands, leading to inconsistent team synergy. Additionally, the constant HP drain was excessively punishing, making it clear that some sort of adjustments was necessary. At that time, Gallagher was considered one of the best supports for her, since 3B and RMCs can attack enemies so that the team get continuous healing from Gallagher's ultimate, which helps sustain CASTORICE's aggressive playstyle. However, when it came to other support options, the choices were quite limited. For example, Sunday was technically viable, but many testers felt that he wasn't the best fit for CASTORICE. RMC was a better choice, but even then, it was far from a perfect synergy. Despite her weakness, one redeeming quality was that her Dragon's Fire Breath attack could be controlled, allowing players to stop it when necessary, rather than being forced into an all-or-nothing situation. Testers also noted that CASTORICE truly excelled in battles against Pollux, a new enemy capable of instantly reducing the entire team's HP to 1%. Since Pollux also provide extra healing, this greatly benefit CASTORICE's mechanics. So, did version 3 significantly improve CASTORICE's performance? Let's get straight to the point. Her global passive or unique passive. There was a quiet controversy surrounding it, as many players argued that this passive disrupts Honkai Star Rail system and should be removed. However, a significant portion of the community wanted to remain until her official release, so in version 3, congratulations to those in favor. Hoyoverse has decided to keep Sanctuary of Moon Cocoon. When an ally takes fatal damage from an enemy attack, they won't immediately be defeated. Instead, their death is delayed for one action, allowing them to perform an action before their turn ends. However, if they receive a heal or a shield during this period, they will fully revive and continue fighting for the rest of the battle. Now on to the first change, her ultimate. There haven't been too many adjustments. She still summons her dragon, gains 100% action advance, and reduces all enemies all-type rest by 20%. However, there is one notable buff. The base speed of her memosprite has been increased to 165, making it significantly faster. So far, so good. Moving on to CASTORICE's skill changes. The multiplier values remain the same, but the HP consumption from the team has been reduced to just 30%. The same reduction applies to her joint attack when her memosprite is on the battlefield, now only consuming 40% of the team's HP. So, what about the skill set of the dragon? Let's find out. The basic attack of the dragon has seen a slight decrease in its multiplier, and the same applies to its main attack, the Scorched Breath. The attack multiplier has been reduced from 30% to 24%, while the enhanced versions drop from 34 to 28 and from 38 to 34%. However, everything else remains the same. That dragon still consumes 25% HP every time it unleashes the Scorched Breath. There's also an amusing bit of information regarding that dragon's talent. In version 3, every time the dragon is summoned into the battle, the damage dealt by all allies will be reduced by 10% for 3 turns. Personally, I feel like this has to be a mistake, maybe a translation error or something similar. There's no way CASTORICE's memosprite talent would actively harm the entire team, especially considering that her kit already consumes the team's HP. So in my opinion, this is just an error. The self-destruct attack that the dragon triggers when its HP reaches a critical point and it leaves the battlefield has also been nerfed, with its multiplier decreasing by 10%. However, when this talent activates, it will now restore the team's HP by 6% of CASTORICE's max HP plus 800. Another notable change is that CASTORICE's ultimate stacks have been renamed. Previously called Stamanova, they are now referred to as New Blood. Additionally, the description stating that the maximum stack count is capped at 100 plus the total character levels in the team has been removed, but I assume the actual limit remains unchanged. And yeah, that's the only real adjustment to her talent. Everything else remains the same, including her total damage output to 60%. Alright then, what about her traces? Let's take a look. Previously, her first trace increased the speed of both CASTORICE and her dragon by 40%, if their HP was at 50% or higher. Fortunately, this trace has now been reworked. Instead, whenever an ally receives healing, 100% of that healing will now contribute to restoring new blood stacks, which are required to CASTORICE's ultimate. If the dragon is on the battlefield, the healing will be converted into the dragon's HP instead. Thanks to this change, we no longer need excess healing to quickly charge CASTORICE's ultimate, making her rotation much smoother. As for the old Trace 1, it has now been swapped to Trace 2. However, only CASTORICE herself benefits from the 40% speed boost now, rather than both her and her dragon. Meanwhile, her final Trace, which previously restored the team's HP when the dragon left the battlefield, has now been repurposed into a damage buff for the dragon's attack. The lower the enemy's HP percentage, the stronger the dragon's damage becomes. If the enemy's HP drops below 30%, the damage boost can reach up to 40%, which is massive. So that sums up the changes in version 3. Overall, CASTORICE did receive a nerf in terms of multipliers, meaning her raw damage output has been lowered. However, it's important to look at the changes from all angles rather than just one side. While her damage was reduced, her dragon now has a much higher base speed of 165, making its attacks more frequent and consistent despite the nerfs. Additionally, CASTORICE's rotation is now smoother and easier, as we no longer require overhealing or excess healing to restore new blood stacks and charge her ultimate. On top of that, the team's HP consumption has also been reduced, making CASTORICE far less punishing for her allies. All of these adjustments ultimately make her much more comfortable to use. But that's only for her E0. What about her Eidolons? Have there been any significant changes? And does her full potential remain locked behind Eidolons? Let's find out. For Eidolon 1, the changes are essentially a nerf. Previously, the Scorched Breath could receive a damage boost up to 180%, but it is now capped at 120%. Even though this is a downgrade, I still believe E1 remains a solid enhancement for CASTORICE. As for Eidolon 2, it remains mostly the same as the previous version, but with a few adjustments. Instead of the next enhanced skill dealing 100% more damage after gaining 100% action forward, it will now recover 20% new blood points instead. For her final Eidolon, the dragon was originally designed to not leave the battlefield on its own, but now it will exit after completing a certain number of actions. Additionally, the number of instances for the bounce damage effect from one of her talents has been increased by 3. So overall, her Eidolons are just okay. There's nothing in them that hard locks her potential, meaning there's no strong incentive for players to pull for E1 or E2 unless they truly want to. But the real question is Eidolon 1 more worth it than her signature light cone? Fortunately, CASTORICE's signature light cone has not changed at all in this version. If you decide to go for it, we'll gain 30% max HP, and both CASTORICE and her dragon's attack will ignore 24% of the enemy's defense. So even though A1's damage boost sounds tempting, the passive effect from her signature light cone is just as powerful. And let's not forget, CASTORICE is a remembrance unit, a pet that is still relatively new in the game, meaning light count options for her are quite limited. That's why in my opinion, it's better to go for E0S1 rather than E1S0 for a more comfortable experience. And that wraps up the version 3 changes to CASTORICE kit. I intentionally haven't included possible builds in this video since there is still a high chance of further changes in the next 2 updates. So what do you guys think about these adjustments? Do they make her stronger or weaker? And are you satisfied with the changes? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on my upcoming videos. Because up next, I'll be covering the changes to Anaxia. Stay healthy, stay happy, and see you all soon.